Hello and welcome to the Federal. As the government inaugurated India's first private military plant in Gujarat to develop defense aircrafts, we have with us Admiral Arun Prakash, who is the former Chief of Naval Staff and an expert on strategic and defense issues. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Nice to be here.
Sir, my first question is that recently the inauguration of a plant was done in Gujarat, which will build C-295 planes. It is the first private joint venture between Tata and Airbus to provide planes to the Indian Armed Forces. Why is the deal significant in your opinion? And what is the role of private companies in defense production?
Okay, I think this is one of the most significant and most welcome steps that the government has taken by allowing the private sector to enter the defense industrial domain. Um, we tend to forget that the the foundation of our defense industrial base was laid by private industry. It was Seth Walchand Hirachand who started Hindustan Aeronautics in 1942 or something. Before that, he had founded India's first shipyard, Hindustan Shipyard in Vishakhapatnam. Unfortunately, it was the Industrial Policy Resolution of 1956 which mandated that all defense production is to be in the government sector. And with that, we handed over everything in this arena to public sector undertakings. And we've seen for the past 60, 70 years that they haven't done too well. And the net result is that India is today the second or third largest importer of arms worldwide. And by handing over everything to public sector industries, we've denied ourselves the productivity, the innovation, the efficiency of the private sector. This should have happened long ago, but nevertheless, it is late, but it's a most welcome step, and I'm sure that this will be the first step in the private industry stepping in a significant way into the military industrial domain. But a word of caution here is required that Hindustan Aeronautics, for example, has been assembling aircraft for the last 40 years or more. We built so-called built 800 or so MiG-21s. We built Sukhoi 30s and a variety of other aircraft and aero engines. We say that we built them indigenously, but the fact is that we've only assembled them. And after so many years, decades, and thousands of aircraft and engines being built, we have not learned how to design and build our own aircraft and engines. So one hopes that this new initiative with the private industry stepping in will result in actual transfer of technology, transfer of skills, and learning how to design and make our own aircraft in the years ahead.
So you talked about the HAL. Do you think HAL is ready to compete with private companies like Tata, Airbus? And what is the possible future of HAL?
No, HAL has a very bright future. If you look at HAL's order books, they're chock a block. If they just deliver what they've been ordered, like the Tejas Mark 1, and other plans on the anvil, the Dhruv helicopter, they are building hundreds of them. So HAL's future is very bright. Their order books will remain full because they have a captive customer in the Indian Air Force, Indian Navy, Indian Army. They're all captive customers. So HAL has a bright future, but HAL must, gird up its productivity, its efficiency, its innovation, these kind of things. I mean, as a government, as a defense production unit, it is just plodding along so far. I don't know what is the rate now, but they said they can only produce 8 Tejas per year and ramp it up maybe to 16. That will take years for them to fulfill Indian Air Force orders. So much more needs to be done. So HAL need not worry about competition from the private sector. Their future is quite secure. They need to get cracking with their own efficiency and innovation and so on.
So the Union government has revived the plan for acquiring 114 multi-role fighter aircrafts. The deal has been stagnant for past few years. How important is the deal for India because it will also be concluded under the Make in India program?
Well, It's an important step because the Air Force has been crying hoarse about shortage of combat aircraft, and it's high time that we paid attention to their appeals for modernization and so on. But unfortunately, the defense procurement process is extremely convoluted and time consuming. You saw the MMRCA project. It went on and on for almost a decade, more than a decade, and then it was thrown overboard, and we went and bought 36 Rafales off the shelf in place of 126 combat aircraft. Now, one can only hope that we are not going to go through the same convoluted and long drawn out process for 114. I mean, that could take anything up to 7, 8, 10 years. And then, even when you conclude a project, it takes at least 6, 7 years for the delivery to be complete. For first 36 months or 48 months, nothing happens because they order long lead items and so on. Then they start delivery of aircraft. So, any further delay will be very harmful, I think. So the procurement process has to be streamlined and compressed so that the contract will be signed within a reasonable period, a few months. But if we go through the DPP process all over again, then I don't see much hope here.
So the Indian Air Force is facing shortage of squadrons from sanctioned strength of 42. The present strength has come down to 31, and it is presumed that next year it will further come down. The discussion of on a multi-role fighter aircraft is started during the UPA time has not been concluded even after a decade of the NDA rule. Why is there a delay?
Well, I just answered that question, that the delays in decision making and the process that we follow for procurement of military hardware. It's far too complicated, complex, and riddled with bureaucratic processes. We need to reform this whole process. The decision making needs to be much faster, and I think the Air Force should also now realize that this sort of delays are built into our system, and for them to keep insisting on going up to 42 squadrons is a dream which will never fructify. And given the tremendous advances in technology, I don't know when the 42 squadrons was sanctioned, maybe in the 60s or 70s. Since then, there has been a huge forward movement in technology. I mean, today, one aircraft, the cost of one Rafale probably could have bought you 10 MiG 21s. And the payload and the range and endurance of a Rafale is equal to a squadron of MiG 21s. So we must take that into account and not insist on X number of squadrons, etc. Technology is advanced. Each aircraft today is worth at least 6 or 7 aircraft of the 50s and 60s vintage. The accuracy of weapons is improved. Earlier, if you dropped 100 bombs, maybe 20 or 30 would hit the target. Today, every single bomb, precision guided, laser guided, will hit. And secondly, you can release weapon releases from much further away from the target, short of the target, so you don't stand into danger. Plus, you've got you know uh, unmanned aircraft, missiles, and so on. So technology has changed a lot of things. So we must now change our thinking also, and see how other air forces operate, and try and make do do much more with much less. So I think a change of mindset is also required, while of course insisting that the government should streamline its business, and ensure that modernization of the armed forces doesn't suffer due to bureaucratic delays.
So my last question is, under the Make in India program, India has also planned to acquire Tejas LCA Mk1A by mid 2025. With mixed squadrons retiring, how do you look at the induction of Tejas? Is it a better replacement?
Indeed, it is better. The Tejas is a current generation aircraft. The MiG 21 first came into service in late 1950s and 60s. So the Tejas is a huge improvement on the MiG 21. And the more Tejases we induct into service, the better off we will be. So there's no question. The Tejas is a good aircraft. The Tejas Mark One will be even better. And then there is other plans, in prospect, like the AMCA advanced medium combat aircraft. All those should be fully backed and funded by the government today. That's the other risk of buying foreign aircraft, like this project that you're talking about. These foreign acquisitions should not in any way hinder the R&D and progress of our indigenous programs. They should go on unimpeded, in fact, with greater vigor. That's a great risk that we must not allow. So Tejas is a good aircraft. Tejas Mark 1 will be better, and AMCA will hopefully be even better than all of them put together.
Thank you for talking to the Federal, sir.